PSLE is coming. Can you solve this 2021 PSLE math question? By the end of this video, I'm going to share how difficult this question is. So the question goes, a small circle with center O has been cut from a large circular piece of cardboard which has the same center. The radius of the small circle is 8 centimeters. The remaining cardboard is then cut into 4 equal parts along the dotted line as shown in figure 1. These 4 parts are then rearranged to form the shape shown in figure 2. Find the parameter of figure 2. So there is a couple of steps to find the parameter of the shape. The first step is to get the circumference of the small circle in red as what you see over here. Then the next step is to get the circumference of the big circle which is in green that looks like this. And last step is to get the thickness length which is in gold as what we see over here. And we're going to add all of them up. So let's start with the first step which is to get the small circle. So the small circle is actually pretty straightforward. If since the question said the radius of the small circle is 8 centimeters, then we can just quickly get the circumference, which is basically 2 times pi times radius, and this will give us 50.24 for the small circle. Then let's move on to the big circle, which requires quite a bit more steps. So to get the radius of the big circle in green, then we need to know this other length as well, which is in red. So I call this the red length over here. So since we know the circumference of the red circle, then how do we know the big circle? So I'm going to make use of this 42 centimeters over here. So since this shape 2 over here also has this, I would say curved part, that means this is also the radius of the small circle in red. With that, since we know the total length of this straight line over here is 42, then that means the two red length would then be equal to 10. 42 minus 4 times of this 8. So that means one red length would then be equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So now we know the red length is 5. Then we know we can get the radius of the big circle, which is equal to 13. Then from there, we can get the circumference, which would then be 2 times pi times radius, and this will give us 81.64. Now we know the big circle. The next thing is we want to get the thickness length, which is in gold over here, and then add all of them up. So since we know the red length over here is also part of the width of this whole, I will say, outlined thick boy circle. So if you were to just move the red length according to the thick part over here, that means the thickness length is equal to 5. So the total thickness or the green, the I would say gold part is 10. Then if we were to add all of them up, the parameter of the shape would then be equal to the red parts plus the green parts plus the thickness gold parts, and this will give us the answer 141.88 centimeter. So in terms of difficulty, I would say this is 3 out of 5, which is not easy yet not hard as well.